Should there be a wealth tax on the super rich? Is it fair that they have got so much money, they just pulls out of their wallets? Should they contribute more to society as a whole? Are they doing enough? Well, let's have a look at what happened in Norway in 2023. They tried to introduce a wealth tax on the super rich, and immediately 30 billionaires left the country. That was more than the previous 13 years worth of billionaires that had left. The state increased their taxes, basically. They gave them a 0.7% tax and a further 0.4% tax. So it was 0.7 on assets over 1.7 million and 0.4% on assets over 20 million. So the 13 billionaires who left had a combined wealth of 600 billion. The government thought that these extra new taxes they brought in were going to raise 146 million in tax revenue. But the result of the 13 billionaires leaving is that they got a net tax loss of 594 million. Massive difference, guys. The politicians, of course, blamed the rich for leaving because their tax revenues had dropped. All those mean, horrible rich people, they all left the country because we tried to tax them. It's their fault. One of the billionaires, who was a well-established Norwegian businessman, said, listen, just to tread water, to stay where I am today, I have to pay an extra 6 million a year in tax. That means my company has to pay me another 10 billion dividend so that after tax, I can pay my wealth tax. He said, it's just ridiculous. I'm not going to do that. I'm going to move. He moved to Italy, I think, that guy. Here's the moral of the question, guys. If you want the super rich to stay in the country, to contribute towards taxes at a fair rate, to employ people, to invest in the economy, to bring more jobs and to just generally be a safe place for them to live, wealth tax doesn't fix the problem. Now, Rachel Reeves is talking about a wealth tax on the super rich. I see everybody online going, yeah, super rich people, they avoid tax, they need to pay more. We should tax them for everything they've got because it's not fair that they've got more money than we have. We're coveting them, guys. You know, it says don't covet what someone else has got. It's jealousy. Someone's been more successful for me. It's not fair. I want more of their money and they should pay for me to have a life more like theirs. Just because they drive around in a Ferrari isn't fair. What do you think of that? Right? The reality is you don't implement the same policy and get a different result. Dubai have got a tax-free state and millionaires and billionaires can move there and just literally pay a flat rate 10%. That's it, 10%, everything done, dusted, no inheritance tax. Why wouldn't you go and live there if you're a multi-millionaire? Why wouldn't you buy your car, rent a flat, go to 5-star restaurants, employ people in Dubai when you could save, stack loads of tax, stack loads of money and keep some of what you're working for? I'm not a billionaire. I'm not super rich. I come from a family where we had nothing. Right? But I see the logic in not driving these guys out of our country. I see the logic in encouraging people to get on the ladder, live the Hollywood dream, strive to be successful. I saw once Boris Becker, when he was at the top of his career and he was the #1 tennis player in the world, living in Germany, was paying 90% tax on his income. 90% tax. Right? Because he's super rich and super successful and working his arse off, they thought they could tax him 90%. So what does he do? He tucks money away in different places. And then years later, he's accused of avoiding tax, dodging tax. And he's thrown in prison. And he's demonized for being a tax avoidance person, right? A sports star who avoided tax. Let me tell you something. If you were Boris Becker, and if I was Boris Becker and I was earning money and having to pay 90% tax, if we had tax advisors who told us how to put our money in different places to pay less tax, we'd do it. So let's not be judgmental. Let's not point out someone else's speck in their eye. Let's not blame the super rich because they've been successful. Let's keep them in the country. Let's embrace them. We need them in society. If you drive them away, your tax revenues will drop. You'll have more people unemployed. You'll have higher state benefits. You'll have less money coming into the coffers, and everyone will be worse off. Guys, you might not like it, but it's the fact and it's the truth, and you cannot change the fact that if you tax the super rich, they'll go somewhere where another country encourages them to come because they want them there. Why do they want them there, I wonder? Why would we want all those horrible billionaires in the UK anyway? I mean, driving around in their mega yachts and their Ferraris. Who wants them here? Personally, I want them here. I want them here because they spend money and they contribute to our economy, and we shouldn't be punishing people for being successful. Let me know what you guys think in the chat, and we'll talk soon. Take care. Bye-bye.